How do I sound today?
You sound much, much better. So you're going to be host today.
Okay. Yay, I win host again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Going Analog podcast, in which three board gamers each bring a topic and game to discuss. Normally, except we just had the biggest convention in America happen, Gen Con, of course. We're talking about Gen Con 2024. And it was really, really busy for us. I lost my voice. If you heard our last episode, you can tell I was not normal, and it's getting there, but I'm not quite back yet. But we wanted to recap even more like the cool games of Gen Con 2024. And to do that, we brought along our favorite friend, our Twitch board game streamer, Amanda Panda. So hi, Amanda. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
We're excited to talk games because you had a different experience from us. So hopefully you saw some things, heard some things that we weren't able to, and we can compare some notes. So we had a great time this year. I barely recovered, and we have a lot to talk about, I think. Right, Shu? Oh, Shu's here.
I'm like, is she going to mention me to the audience at all at any point? I'm always an afterthought for Christina.
It's just because you're always here. Anyway, Shu's here too, so whatever. Yay. But Amanda's here, and that's more exciting. So this year, we saw a lot of Amanda at the BIPOC Lounge. So you were working at the lounge that is dedicated toward Black, Indigenous, and people of color, sort of like a great meeting space, relaxing space. And we were super thankful for that this year too. We were there multiple times, really enjoyed the space, very welcoming to everybody. And it was just a great meeting place for all of us. And we got to play some games, rest our feet here and there. So thanks for doing such a great job, Amanda.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Run by the Rose
Gauntlet Foundation. Yes. We have a lot of friends who help out there, have sponsored it, and I think everybody's super grateful for it.
Even the last day when we were like, you and I were like, we're exhausted. We had to go. And then Amanda's like, I have to tear down. I have to help tear down this booth. So we're like, oh my gosh, there's so much work went into that. Just one lounge in all of Gen Con. It's crazy.
We were thankful for it. So.
Well, there's also the Latin Lounge for those. And then there's the Tabletop Gamers room.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of different places for different people to go to. But yeah, we definitely, me and Mandy Hutchinson organized it this year for the Rose Gauntlet Foundation, and it was nice. We tried to implement some new stuff like playtest demos and signings in the lounge this year, so I got to see some cool games from that. And then we had more tables that are rectangular for more gaming this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Today, we wanted to talk about our games of Gen Con, like in different categories: party games, light games, medium, and heavy. So were you able to get to the show floor much, Amanda? Were you working, playing things in the lounge? How was your con experience?
I had meetings. I was like feeling a little, out of touch with some of the companies. So I had like a 30-minute meeting, a 30-minute break, a 30-minute meeting, a 30-minute break, all until I had to work, or vice versa. But most of the time, the games I saw were, what's coming up soon, like coming up in the next year. I also saw some games that were, being released at Gen Con, which was really cool. And they like most of the demos I couldn't really do unless it was at a meeting. But I did kind of sneak through, Artist Alley, had to go check those out. And while I was walking to the next meeting, I was able to check out other booths and stuff like that, but didn't really get to see like in depth some of the cool stuff that was out there.
Yeah. And I think for purposes, just so people know, for purposes of these awards, we have a pretty broad definition, right? Because basically, if it's a game that we're going to mention today, it has to be at Gen Con in some capacity, right? Like it's either, that means a booth was selling the game, demoing a game, or maybe the publisher was showing the game behind closed doors or at a press event. So in some way we got to see or were exposed to this game due to Gen Con. And of course, we're all going to probably have different ideas, slightly different ideas, like what's a light game, or is that a medium game, or should that be a heavy game? Things like that. We're pretty loose about that because it's so hard to kind of define everything super clearly. But as long as it's at Gen Con, and we're like, yeah, we really like this game for one reason or another, then we could talk about it today on the show. And either we're going to have some runners up and we're going to have some winners. So it's going to be cool.
Yes. I think the big thing is we weren't as organized going through the floor this year as we normally are. We usually literally go down every single aisle. But we had a lot of meetings this year, so we got to see a lot of exciting new things that way that we'll talk about. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we'll dive right into it. Our first topic is what was our party game of the con? So that could be from looking at demos, participating in a demo, playing a game after hours. Did you have a party game of the con, Amanda?
I think the one that was really hilarious was Fairy from All Play. It's kind of like rock, paper, scissors, but with a twist. And that one was really fun. It goes to maybe I think 10 players or something. It was one of those great games that after a long day of gaming and you just want to get something in quick with 15, 20 minutes and you want everyone to be like, or yeah, or, just random shouts of, that type of thing. It's quite fun. All you're going to do is, guess what's going to be flipped over next. Is it going to be a higher card, lower card, same suit? Or are you going to capture a fairy? And that's it. But it's actually quite fun. It's very easy to learn. It's just a deck of cards, so it's quite portable. You keep track by holding a card in your hand of your points. And it's quite pretty too. So that was quite fun and easy and great for a brain dead person at the very end of a day.
Definitely happens at Gen Con for sure.
So that's fairy, like the boat? Fairy?
No, Fairy. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Fairy. Okay.
You're capturing fairies. So yeah.
Okay.
She was imagining capturing boats.
Yeah.
So
I was like, what a boring theme. Fairies are much better than fairies.
Yes. Flying, beautiful little fairies.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool. What about your party game, Shu? We might have the same one.
So I'm like, do I call this a party game or not? I don't think of it as a traditional party game, but it's called Flip 7 from the op. So they normally this comes in a bigger box. The retail edition is going to be a slightly bigger box for retail shelving purposes, but we got a small deck box version of it at Gen Con. And the basic idea is the basic game is there's a bunch of numbered cards, and these are all going to be points. So you're trying to get as many of these as you can. Everyone at the table is dealt one, and you can play with a lot of people. I think we've always played with at least 7 people.
Yeah,
and even last night we were playing it I ran it for a couple of different groups. We were doing a goodbye party for some of our friends, and then we played Flip 7. We were so loud and so crazy, and then we were annoying the other table.
I was trying to play my heavier game, which I'll talk about a little bit later.
Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah, so they're all looking at us like, it's so annoying. We're trying to play a heavy strategy game, and then we're all screaming, yelling. So the idea is all these numbered cards. Like there's 1 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, all the way to 12 12s. And then so we talked a little bit about this on our last episode. But basically, if you get a card, you ask the dealer to hit you, like give you another card. As long as it doesn't match any card you already have, that's just more points for you. But the minute you duplicate any card, then you bust and you're out for that round. You get 0 points for that round. So, and then there's other cool little fun cards you can add to it.
It's like a dumber blackjack. So that was great.
It's like maybe there's a card where you could freeze another player and they can't play anymore. You maybe get an extra life. Maybe get some other ways of scoring that doesn't count against your busting. And then there's one that's really fun. It's called Flip 3, where you can keep this card or you can give it to somebody else and make them draw 3 cards. And sometimes you're like, I don't want to draw more cards. I'm going to bust. So it's just a lot of fun because we've always played it with people we know. And we're all egging each other on. We're like, oh no, you got to hit. You got so many cards that you're not going to bust on.
It'll be fine.
So we're constantly like just a lot of like jibber jabbering back and forth and trying to encourage people to bust. And when they do bust, everyone's laughing their heads off. It's just such a simple game, but
Also one of those brain dead games. It's
yeah,
great.
it was like great at the time for like, this is mindless. It takes like a minute to teach, and I'm really loving it. Everyone we're showing it to, we're all having a good time.
And then when I'm not playing it, I am a little jealous. It's true, because I'm playing something else. Yeah, that was going to be my party game also. It was just like ridiculous, and it actually says you can play 3 to 99 players, but I don't know if there are enough cards for that. They do recommend if you have like 18 or more people, I think, and the rules have like 2 decks or something. But as long as you have enough cards, you can just pass them out and just keep going.
Yeah.
So, that was our party game.
Have you heard of the game that there was a Cosmos party game that was big? The Gang, right?
I would say that was a little more light for me, which is definitely on my list.
Versus a party game.
Yeah,
Okay.
There's a little more thought to it, which leads into light games of Gen Con. We might as well just talk about that. And that definitely was near the top of my list. We played The Gang a lot. And the theme is that you are, I guess, criminals on a heist trying to rob some vaults and stuff. But it's basically cooperative poker. And then when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, sure, whatever. But then you play a couple hands and you get the same fun, collaborative feel of like the mind, I think. Because as you're playing it, you have these chips, these poker chips, to assign how strong your hands are through different phases of essentially Texas Hold'em. So when you get your 2 hidden pocket cards, we're like, how strong do we think our hands are? And then it gets hilarious because you realize people have very different experiences with poker that first hand. But it's designed really well because maybe we suck at the first hand because somebody totally misunderstood and was like, I have a really weak hand because I don't have a pair, but they had an ace. And you're like, you really should not have taken the 1. Like you had a pretty strong hand, right? So through these different phases where you have your pocket card, and then you flip 3 cards into the community to try to make a better poker hand. Then you assess again. Who do we think has the strongest hand? We can't talk about our cards, but like, I think Shu has a better hand because he looks more excited by these cards that flipped. Things like that. And we can talk about that. We'll assign values again. Then another card gets flipped. We assign, strength again. And then at the very end, after the final card's been revealed, we will have to guess the final time that counts. Did we basically rank everybody's poker hands exactly correctly from weakest to strongest? And if we got everything correct, then we successfully pulled off the heist and we get 1 out of 3 vaults completed, basically.
This is your like game with the show?
I think so. I think I played it a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We definitely highlighted this on the last episode as well.
Yes.
So you can listen to that if you want to hear us talk more about it.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Amanda? What's your like game with the show?
So that was a co-op game, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. I have to say this game. I think I just have to. It's Panda Panda.
I saw it. I didn't have a chance to like actually hear about it. So so what is Panda Panda?
I think there's some bias here.
Bias, yeah.
Bias.
So it's a retheme remake of a Japanese game. I think I saw Jay from Cardboard East talk about it. But where it is you have a set of cards of 7 and you're trying to get a certain set of letters. So it goes from A to G, where there's like 13 A's and then it goes down until there's only 1 G. And you're trying to get either like, what is it, like 4 A's and 3 B's, or, there's certain sets of different number of cards, all the way to just a pair of 2-letter different letter cards. But you're either taking a card or discarding a card into your personal discard pile, or you can take a card from the deck or someone else's discard pile. But if you want to, win with just the 2-card set, you have to discard all of your cards until you get to that 2-card set. The trick is that you cannot take when you discard everyone has to pass a card around. So you're passing cards around. And plus, you cannot take the card from a discard pile. So you cannot take an A back into your hand from anybody's discard pile. You have to just draw it from the draw deck. So it's kind of interesting where you're almost ready to, win, but then someone discards an A and then you have to pass the card along. Or like someone just has like, it's a very light game with really cute panda art. The G is the only red panda and that's the gold, gold foil one and stuff like that. But it's a light game, very cute, interesting play. Very
Just a
interesting.
quick question. I think I saw it. Is the artist the same artist who did Nana?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fine.
And I think that they did it as a cat themed game.
Mm-hmm.
But then All Play changed it to a panda game, and I'm like, yes.
You're happy with that. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Sounds
You're like,
a fun
that's
little card.
much better. Yeah.
What about you, Shu? Like game of the con for you?
So there's another game we highlighted in the last episode, Seers Catalog. So the quick version is it's a card shedding game, similar to the very popular Scout, where you have a hand of cards and you're trying to get rid of them, right? So if Christina plays a single four, I just have to play a single card that beats that, and we keep going around in a circle until you can't. You want to get rid of your cards, but you don't necessarily want to be first. So I love the strategy in this game because it's like, well, if you're first out, you'll get 0 points, but if everyone else gets negative points, then that's okay. Otherwise, you're trying to leave certain cards, high value cards, left in your hand to be able to score those. Because if you're in a bonus, you can make up for these negative points. They also come with artifacts, which are all these cool powers that really let you, like, I'm going to change the value of a card, or I'm going to take the lead next time. And so this is, if you like Scout, and we love Scout, we played the heck out of Scout.
Still play it today.
And still play it today. It's a fantastic game. This is like the next step up from that. Just a slight step, not too complicated. It takes a little bit more explanation, a little bit more of a teach, but then when you get into it, it's like, oh, this is really fun because you're manipulating so much more than you were able to before. So that's Seers Catalog, Seers. So it's kind of a play off of the old company, Seers, Sears.
Everybody gets confused the first round, though. So I do want to preface by that. And then the first time we explained it to our friend James Hudson, he's like, I hate this. He actually did like it. But he was like, it's like not super intuitive compared to the games where you are used to just going out really quickly. So it adds that extra wrinkle, which is really fascinating.
Yeah. A little bit more gamer, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't put a new player into Series Catalog, probably, personally.
I think it's still light enough. I think you could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it has more strategy. I played it at Dice Tower West. Taylor, who designed it, showed it to me, and Crystal, Dax, and stuff. And I had fun, but it does take a bit more, like at least a round to really figure it out. And I feel like, I don't know if a complete like casual gamer who doesn't really play games, I don't even know if I would get them into Scout. You know what I mean? So it's like that next level up. I think I agree with you though. If you really like Scout, maybe try this one. Because this one's a really fun one.
And the medium game, sort of a nice sweet spot. Let's see. Let's start with Shu this time. What was your medium game of the con?
So this one was an easy pick for me. And I suspect Christina's going to pick the same one. Last night we had some
friends. You don't know me.
I know you. I promise you're going to pick this game. I'm going to guarantee it. I haven't even looked at her list, her written list right here. But so last night, our friend Nam was looking at our Gen Con hall and all the games. He's like, what's your one favorite game in there? And then he already knew. He's like, is it this? And I'm like, it's that. I'm like, any weight category, that's my one favorite is River of Gold. So I do want to give a shout out a couple of runners up. I really liked Wandering Galaxy from Plaid Hat, which is our new Crossroads game, where you're going on space adventures, and it's more of an open sandbox app narrated game that was really, really cool. And also Babylon. We saw a prototype of it, played a few rounds, and that was super cool as well. This is where you're building the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. It's like makes this really cool 3D puzzle, and then you have to look from the top down to see what your score is going to be. I loved those games. They were really cool. But River of Gold, I'm like, man, this is really great.
You're welcome. I taught it to him.
Christina taught it to me. So the idea is each round, you're going to roll a die. and then the die. And again, we covered this on the last episode, so I won't get too into it. But the die will let you say which customers you can deliver to, how far down you can move on the river to activate what locations to gather resources or points or influences in areas, or where you can build. So there's all these empty spots along the river that you can build out the buildings that are going to trigger rewards for either yourself or other players. So there's so many different choices, but it plays so fast. At the end of your turn, you roll the die. So while other people are taking their turn, you can start thinking about your move. It plays so fast for so many cool strategic decisions. So easily my overall game of the show, as well as my medium weight game of the show.
I ended up teaching that game probably 3 times within 4 days, I want to say. Yeah, that sounds about right. Or like maybe even 3 days. It was ridiculous. I taught that game so much. Like I would think I'm a very good teacher for it now. But
and we have friends visiting. They're out right now while we're recording this. But when they get back, we're going to show them River of Gold.
Yeah,
so it's like,
sure.
It's an awesome game.
I think it's like at a really great, elegant speed, and it's going to be, for me, and it's just so beautiful. The production value is sort of unnecessary, like spot gloss gold on the board, but it just makes you feel like, ooh, this is a very exciting, like rich experience, you know? And it hits at that sweet spot where it's not too heavy, not too light. You still have strategy and decisions to make. So love it.
I agree. River of Gold was definitely one of those that I thought about putting on as my medium weight game of choice, but I was like, maybe I had a inkling someone else might have put it on there. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it on the stream. I also had a lot of fun teaching it at the BIPOC Lounge. A lovely couple was wanting something a little bit more strategic for one person who really likes like very heavy games. And the other person was tired and didn't really want to, go into something so heavy. So I was like, River of Gold is a nice medium. So I sat down, laid it out, taught them. And then another couple sat down, was like, oh, can we just listen into the cheat? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then the first couple was like, do you want to just play? So that was very nice. So I had them sit together, kind of went over everything. It's such an easy teach. I think everything is literally laid out for you on your player boards and on the main board. So yeah, they had a great time, and it was really nice to see it out. And we also had the designer come and do a playthrough, a demo of it at the BIPOC Lounge, and he signed my rule book of it. Yeah. So it was very fun. Unfortunately, they didn't get to sell it at the con because the games didn't come in at that time. Yeah. But yeah, I think it was definitely a hit, and I hope like people will go to the website and check it out and pick up a copy.
It's beautiful. So
the river is really gold. Like,
yes, it really is. So what was the one you are picking for medium then?
It is PopCats Fighter from Estefania Rodriguez, and she demoed it at the con. This game has been in the works for years. Like I play tested it years ago. But now Violet Daisy Games is picking it up. So it's going to be published hopefully within a year. And she was demoing it in the BIPOC Lounge. And it just reminded me of how much I enjoyed this like one-on-one fighting with cards with this very cute cat art on it that was done by her partner. So PopCat Fighters.
Okay. And so for me, obviously River of Gold is pretty much, I think it has to be my medium game of the con.
I called it.
Yeah.
Everyone heard it earlier.
I have a pretty close runner-up because I just played Rock Hard 1977. And I didn't get to check it out during the con, but it was like very, very popular at the con. A lot of people wanted to check it out. There were demos. People were buying it. Really cool theme. And it's like just like one of the most thematic games I've played in a long time. I know Panda is really good friends with the designer, Jackie Fox. And, she just has like a fantastic like background and life that she sort of put into this idealized version of becoming a rock star in the 1970s. So Jackie Fox was a member of the Runaways, a teenage girl, like rock group with Joan Jett and everything. And then now is, became a 4-time Jeopardy champion, which is like, whoa, goals, And I've had a lot of fun with this game. It was a sort of Euro worker placement game as you are living the life as somebody trying to make it big in rock, essentially. And there's all these little touches that have made me feel like, yeah, I have a job. I have like a day job because I'm not big enough yet. But as I get, maybe I have to ditch my job so that I can make this gig or something like that. So I'm not making the money. And if I miss my job too many times, I get fired, So like there's a lot of like really thematic touches to it. And, everybody joked around about the candy element where you can take candy to do extra actions because you have extra energy. And obviously candy is drugs. So the more you use candy, the higher the risk of getting dependent on it is. And, I think that adds some randomness to a pretty strategic game. So I can see why some people might have some issues with it where like, oh, well, if I just draw this candy card, turns out I don't get my extra action. But hey, you got bad drugs, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you, right? So I thought it was really thematic and I like those randomness touches. Even if I might lose, like, ooh, it felt appropriate to this game. So I had a great time playing for the first time, and thanks to Grant Lyon for teaching it to me. So I'm excited to get that game and play it again. So I had, and there's a gig venue called Panda Palace named after Panda right here. So you're a celebrity. So that's exciting.
Wait, is it literally because of you?
Huh?
Yeah, because I play tested it with her. Like, I'm part of her main gaming group. We go to her house like once a month or something. So all the venues are named after her friends. So like Carter is Kevin Carter, and then, there's all these other things. I love all the little like Easter eggs, like the amp goes to 11, that
Yes.
type of thing.
All of the stats go up to 11.
Yeah, exactly.
All the touches are amazing, and Devere had just like such good production on it. Like the paper money is like doodled on and stuff like that, and it feels real. It's like amazing. It's like such a good game. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So that was my medium game. And that was what the game I was playing that like it felt heavier because like 12 people were playing Flip 7 behind me. But I wouldn't say it's like super heavy, but there's definitely some fun like worker placement strategy and deciding when you want to like risk it with candy and when you want extra actions and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a game where we're all screaming and yelling with Flip 7 table, and then the rock hard table, we're kind of like, we're playing a real game here.
We're trying to be rock stars. It's serious business.
The funniest thing to me was we were playing with our friend Richard, and he had a secret objective where he had to keep his job till September out of December. Okay. And so we're like, dude, what a loser. He keeps going to his job instead of like playing gigs and stuff like that. So he keeps going to his job, doing his job. And then once he hits the objective, he redeems it and he just starts buying drugs all over the place. It's just like the funniest flip. So anyway, I really enjoyed that one. And then our last category, which is tough to do at Gen Con, I think, it is our heavy game of Gen Con. So the real issue is I never have time to play a heavy game at Gen Con. The last time we tried was probably Root, trying to play that at 12:30 in the evening, which was a bad idea. So we did get some demos or find out about some heavy games. So that's pretty much the angle I'm going to take. Were you able to play or demo anything heavy, Amanda?
I could not play anything heavy.
Same.
Just timing wise plus energy. I came directly from Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con to Gen Con, which was a mistake. Little to no energy. But anyways, I got demoed a couple of games. So one that I'm very interested in is Minnows from Board and Dice. I think Minnows, The Dawn of the Bronze Age. That looked really interesting with the different actions. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous game that was laid out on the table. So that one definitely. But also in the BIPOC Lounge, I saw demoed Burn the Fort from Indigenous Action, which was a really kind of more lighter, heavy, more heavy middle, if that makes sense, game. Where, you're the indigenous people trying to prevent the colonizers from getting their wagon to the fort. So you're trying to like hit them on their way, and it starts out cooperatively, but some people might go to the other side. You don't know. You're playing cards, you're trading cards, you're rolling dice, trying to fight off these people. And I thought it was really interesting because it was designed by an indigenous person who unfortunately passed away. So his wife was actually the one selling and demoing. And it looked like it was really fun and really cool mechanics that brought out this, part of the history of North America, right? That people really only see from the other side, from the most part.
Because that's what you learn in school and stuff. Yeah. We actually had that recommendation from Mary Flanagan of Resonum Games. We were chatting her, and she's like, "Oh, that one looks really, really fascinating." So excited to hear about that and take a look at it. What about you, Shu? Heavy game?
Yeah, same thing. I'm not gonna pick one to win because we couldn't play
any of them.
We didn't have time. I don't know if that's gonna affect us in future because we seem to have less and less time for this at Gen Con. But Minos Donna, the Bronze Age, was also on my radar. I was like, as we were getting the kind of explanation and walkthrough of how this game plays, I'm like, this looks so cool. Like you draft dice, lower value dice will give you more powerful powers, but then a higher dice will help you climb different tracks to gain their benefits. So it looks like I love games that have agonizing decisions like this, and it looks like this game is just 100% that like, oh, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And it is, like you said, Amanda, like super beautiful. The other one I got really excited about seeing was SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And then that was really cool because in every game, so basically there's a couple of ways you could send out. You can either be looking through telescopes and scanning the skies, kind of like the movie Contact. You're just scanning for intelligent life out there. Or there's another way where you're actually sending out probes and things to go take samples from different planets. You're trying to figure out if there's life out there. But one of the coolest things is for each game, you pick 2 different kind of species that could appear in the game. And then each one has its own gameplay attached to it. So depending on which 2 you pick, it feels like we didn't play it, but it's just from what we saw, it looks like every game will be very different depending on the 2 alien species that you pick. So both are heavier games. Both won't be out till later this year, but I'm really excited about both of those.
When we were talking to the people at CGE about SETI, they were saying, the designer, huge fan, like a astronomy buff, essentially, obviously about finding extraterrestrial life and all this, really wanted to make sure all of the science was really strong, and even reached out to SETI, the program, like, hey, can we use your name, obviously? And so they did get permission from SETI, and they're very excited that there's going to be a whole game about what they do, and I am very excited to play it. So, yeah, it looks amazing and huge and super crunchy. So, yeah.
So it sounds like between the three of us, no official heavy games of the show, but lots of good potential recommendations for the future. Hopefully
we can follow up several months down the path and talk about some heavy games.
Yeah. I mean, we all 3 like heavy games. It's just, I feel like Gen Con and Essen are two cons that you can't really play a heavy game at. It's just like way too much.
I think that's why a lot of my games of the con for Gen Con tend to be lighter, just because that's all we can handle. I look forward to BGG Con coming up in November to play my heavy games. So we plan to be there this year too. So excited to do that and run our board game quiz show live for the audience and everything. So yeah. Successful con. We came back with pretty big hauls. We'll keep talking about them as we get more and more played. But thanks so much for telling us about what stood out to you, Amanda. And where can people follow you and find out what you're gaming with? What you're gaming with?
You can find me. You can find me everywhere under Panda Angel. That's PANDA, the number 8, N as in Nancy, GEL. I'm primarily a Twitch streamer, so I do live playthroughs and interviews. You can also find me on Our Family Plays Games Voices. I also just joined their Kickstarter preview team. I do streaming marathons with Tabletop Live Network and Tabletop After Dark. You can find me everywhere under Panda Angel. on all the socials.
Yes, yes. She has great playthroughs and sometimes invites us on, and we always have a great time. So thanks. And then for us, we are in the middle of our season 5 of the Board Game Quiz Show. So check it out. We've had some fantastic content creators this season. It's a pretty hard season.
Including this one.
Including
You
Amanda.
might see someone, yeah.
Yeah, you might see this particular guest coming up. So we'll see. It was a good challenge for everybody. So we'll see how our audience stacks up against it. Thanks to our fantastic editor, Mike Zipkin, of course. And, please follow us and like us and rate us on all of our podcast things. And now you can stop listening and go play a game.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.